The year is 540 BC. Sparta, a fortress in the Peloponnese, is a land that breeds warriors, not comfort. The sun scorches the Eurotas valley, the Taygetus mountains loom, and only the strong endure. Every Spartan citizen is a soldier first, their lives dedicated to the state and discipline. Sparta is a military machine built to dominate and survive. Yet a shadow falls, not from enemies, but from an empty cradle. The Agiad dynasty, one of Sparta's two royal lines, faces extinction. King Anaxandridas II, respected and strong, has no heir. His marriage is barren. In Sparta, lineage is sacred. A king without a son is a crisis for the whole state. The dual kingship, the foundation of Spartan order, is threatened. Without an Agiad successor, the balance of power teeters, inviting chaos. The Helots, always watching for Spartan weakness, sense opportunity. The great Retra, Sparta's unchanging code, is being tested by nature itself. The elders, the Ephors and Gerousia, watch anxiously. If the Agiad line fails, Sparta's stability could shatter. The city's iron discipline is now at the mercy of a single, unanswered question: who will inherit the throne? The fate of Sparta hangs on the king's empty bedchamber. To grasp the crisis, you must understand Sparta's unique dual kingship. Two kings from the Agiad and Eurypontid families ruled together, an ancient system meant to prevent tyranny and ensure stability. Their power was checked by the Ephors and the Gerousia, balancing military and religious authority. Succession was strict. The firstborn son, after a king's accession, inherited the throne. This clarity kept Sparta united and strong. But if one royal line failed, the system itself was at risk. Would one king rule alone? Would a new family be chosen? Both options threatened chaos. The dual kingship was Sparta's backbone. Without it, the state could collapse. The Agiad crisis was not just personal. It was a threat to the very order of Sparta. King Anaxandridas II was the model Spartan ruler, brave, pious, and loyal to the state. Yet his marriage produced no heir, a public and political failure in a society obsessed with lineage. Whispers spread, was this a sign of divine displeasure? The king's legitimacy, tied to the gods, began to erode. The pressure was immense. He was the living link to Heracles, and the future of his dynasty depended on him. The Eurypontid king had a son, highlighting the Agiad line's fragility. The longer Anaxandridas remained childless, the more unstable the monarchy became. Sparta, a society that loathed uncertainty, faced a future it could not predict. The state's might was now hostage to the silence of the royal household. The crisis was no longer private. It was existential. The fate of the Agiad line and Sparta itself hung in the balance. The king's empty cradle threatened to unravel centuries of order. The Ephors and Gerousia, guardians of Spartan law, could not let the crisis fester. They summoned Anaxandridas, demanding a solution for the good of Sparta. Their message was blunt. His wife was barren, and the Agiad line faced extinction. The state's needs outweighed personal loyalty, even for a king. Their ultimatum: divorce his wife and marry another to produce an heir. Anaxandridas refused, loyal to his wife and unwilling to humiliate her. His defiance created a standoff, king versus state. The crisis escalated from succession to a direct conflict over authority. The elders could not force the king's hand without risking instability. The very structure of Spartan power was being tested. The king's personal loyalty clashed with the cold logic of the state. Sparta's future depended on a solution neither side wanted to accept. The impasse threatened to tear the state apart. The elders, unwilling to depose a popular king, offered a radical compromise: bigamy. Anaxandridas could keep his first wife, but must take a second, chosen for her fertility. This was unprecedented. Bigamy was alien to Greek custom. The king reluctantly agreed, maintaining two households. The second wife soon bore a son, Cleomenes, and Sparta breathed a sigh of relief. The Aegeid line was saved, the crisis averted, but then the first wife, long thought barren, also conceived, giving birth to three sons, Dorieus, Leonidas, and Cleomenes. Suddenly, the problem was not a lack of heirs, but too many. Who was the legitimate successor? Cleomenes, the firstborn of the second wife, or Dorieus, the firstborn of the original queen? The solution to one crisis had created another. The royal house was now divided by questions of legitimacy. The throne was no longer empty, but contested. The future of the Aegeid dynasty was more uncertain than ever. 4 sons meant a new crisis. Who would inherit? By law, Cleomenes, firstborn after the king's second marriage, had the strongest claim. But his birth was the result of a forced, irregular union. Dorieus, firstborn of the original queen, had tradition on his side. The elite split. Should the law be literal, or should tradition prevail? The authorities chose strict primogeniture. Cleomenes would be king. Dorieus, furious, left Sparta and died in exile. Cleomenes' reign was long, brilliant, and deeply divisive. Some whispered his instability was the price of his irregular birth. The crisis was resolved, but the royal house was fractured. The cost of survival was a legacy of bitterness and division. The succession crisis exposed Sparta's hidden fragility. The state's rigid system nearly collapsed over a king's empty cradle. Forced to innovate, the Spartans bent their own rules, allowing bigamy to save the dynasty. This rare flexibility revealed both the strength and weakness of their order. The crisis also highlighted a deeper problem: Sparta's shrinking citizen body. Every birth mattered. The royal drama mirrored a society-wide anxiety. By clinging to the letter of the law, Sparta lost a promising leader and gained a troubled king. The solution preserved continuity, but at a steep price. The crisis was solved, but its legacy was instability. Even Sparta's iron discipline could not shield it from the unpredictability of life. Sparta's dilemma echoes through history. Great powers, from Rome to Napoleon, have bent cherished laws to ensure survival. When tradition clashed with necessity, leaders chose continuity over purity. The decision to allow Anaxandridas' bigamy was a profound admission. Even the strictest systems must adapt. For Sparta, this compromise was a moment of truth. The crisis forced them to choose between ideological purity and existence. Like others before and after, they chose survival. The lesson: no system endures without flexibility. The story of Anaxandridas is a parable of order versus adaptation. Sparta, the society of rules, was forced to bend or break them to survive. Their choice to sanction bigamy was a rare act of pragmatism. The crisis showed that rigidity can be fatal, and adaptation is essential. The solution was messy, but it allowed Sparta to endure. It set the stage for Leonidas and the 300 at Thermopylae. The crisis revealed the human element behind the Spartan mirage. History is shaped by difficult choices in moments of fear and necessity. Sparta's greatest lesson For any system to last, it must serve the living, not just the traditions of the dead. Even the mightiest must sometimes bend to survive.